Camera rolling.
Okay. Just kidding. I want to start with a land acknowledgement. It is necessary to honor and acknowledge the land of the people through which these poems have come to be. The Karankawa, Sana, and Atakapa people are the traditional inhabitants of both my home, Lawndale Arts Center, and my university's grounds. I would like to recognize these indigenous populations so as to contextualize our current existence and the materials we create upon colonized territories. This poem is called Land Acknowledgement 2, and it comes with an epigraph by Tiffany Lithabo King that says, "The endeavor of surviving under conditions of conquest is never clean." This author thinks about Black and Indigenous solidarity, and so I'd like to do that throughout this collection, throughout the rest of my poetry career, and thinking about how we explore universities and explore the lands that we participate in producing material on. Land Acknowledgement 2. All that good gold knows not what we have stoned it into, nor the onyx slated between the brick, but I'd like to think it knows the kind of tenderness only a god could whisper into it. And not to make a mountain from a myth, but from the ground came the being only after the breath, and both the being and the ground inhaled a life thereafter. What could be fashioned with this flesh that won't carry the waking days of the dust? It has tasted the pulsing center beneath our feet. It knows our windswept beginnings, recollects a tilling hand, swallowed a flagpole or two. We can mold it into altars, but our destruction will still echo. It is our hauntings haunting. I don't know what we've made of this ground, but it's nothing we have a name for. And a myth must be the residue of a history interrupted. I'd whistle your pulse into the concrete if it offered something of a life thereafter. And I don't know how to love this land without fucking it over, or how to tend to a starving mouth without biting my own hand. But I'd like to think it remembers a righteous breath, or that memory itself could be its own revival, or that an acquiesce means nothing without returning what was taken. And if it means anything at all, I've known cathedrals to crumble under the weight of enough prayers, a whisper I'd ember right back into the earth. Thank you. This next poem is called University Tour Guide. What we call a legacy, I call a roof collapsing a fourth time this year. Silver donors curl above the doors like steel ivy, twisting their way to the handle. Around us, the streets beyond the sidewalk sweep in their age-old moan. We smother it in iron tracks, our metal hum hugging the stone like a sister city. On your left, an excavated tomb with ample outlets. Your right, a stone cheek crumbling at the sight of every colored kid who made their way across the block. At the center of which we are most proud, a fountain where not a single student has drowned themselves. It is drained today, but runs every commencement its gurgling congratulations. Our mascot, anyone? Yes, a rusted demolition glove found beneath our former dining hall. We thank them for their sacrifice, take our moment of silence during their strike and orchestrate a fight song in their honor. We give hurrahs where they're due. We dig a hole into the street and call it staff parking. Our faculty build into their lessons the drone of drilling, the hammering echo of wood and good on them. We know when to praise and why. We cannot afford to keep our best secrets under the floorboards. We drag around our endowment in our pants, whip it out and brag about it. We are the model minority, all modest and make do. Where else is our money going if not to bigger britches? We keep them ironed under the weight of the light rail. Our state schools humble us. We have no need for hedges. We are the starving metropolis you asked for. We're still picking the dropouts from between our teeth. Thanks. A lot of these poems tend to be rants, so if y'all thought poems had a genre, you're wrong. This is called Black Existentialist Trauma. I'm the searing coal in the seminar, twinkle toe head asses sidestepping a hot topic. I'll be the subtle glance out your left eye if it means you see me. Sometimes I backburner my black so bad I'm stuck scrubbing the soot from off my own tongue. Woke is just a term for dragging my drenched body into every subject. I'll spend a whole lesson lecturing the room on how unloving a text was. I haven't learned to talk about blackness without holding a white hand. Praxis is pledging allegiance to every midnight that spares me. Your poem about a sparrow is identity politics. Every week I slam under string lights to remember what it feels like to love the work I do. I just want to write a black poem without the wake of death, but is it honest if another boy and another dies before I reach the end of it? This poem is called A Prayer. Lord God, forgive my distance. I spend my afternoons unlearning my beliefs so I only catch you in glimpses. Sometimes when I speak, I forget the alabaster of your voice, how it salts like stone in the center of my stomach. I quickly become a temple of conviction and wanted to offer a better home to rest in. Lord God, forgive my apprehension. I'm afraid of my last day, how I'll arise unimpressed with the morning dove's croon, my idol dwelling against the bed frame, scoffing at sunrise with nothing to show for my given life but the makings of my hands. Lord God, forgive my blasphemy. I cannot unsee desire and divine things, a peeling palm leaf, its shuddering slow open, the spirits saunter through a body, a sloshing cup passed and prayed over. Lord God, forgive my honesty. I never knew the weight of worship until I loved a God into someone who wasn't. Lord God, forgive my indulgence. I dare to see myself in your image, to equal our wet and stumbling creations, how I steer their shortcomings in the right direction. I am hardest on the ones closest to perfect. I shape them into gourds and pour what good I can gather between my fingers. Lord God, forgive my arrogance. I too crave my name in the mouth of all others, the O of their lips, a pink and waxing moon. Thank you. And this last poem I wrote recently for a summit that I'm doing in the next couple of weeks. It's called This City 2020. I have not hugged my hometown in what feels like the years, resting between each month since the shutdown, which still remains a misnomer since our officials chose to keep open the doors, sparing the very lives of those that keep us afloat in the first place. We learned essential meant expendable. Service meant sacrifice. So many of our people surrendered to the selfishness of a government that cares more about cash flow than COVID cases, my clutch city. Clinging to one another like an anchor, brass and bronze arms saving each other from the white water's frothing mouth. Houston has never been a stranger to floods, but can't outswim the one it can't see. A shoreline of bodies swept by a hurricane we did not know to prepare for. We rationed our breaths like the leftovers from a stimulus check, hoping they'd hold us over for the months to come. And we look to our leaders, so closed fists they cannot unhand themselves from themselves, even if it kills them. So we look to ourselves, tried to make the most of all this solitude. Knew the longer we spent on our own, the more we learned about the world. Knew the longer we spent with the world, the more we learned about ourselves and how much everything looks like us. How we recognize ourselves in the crack of this glass menagerie, every skyscraper made a mirror. Are we moved by our own likeness? Will we like our reflections in another? And so we looked to each other through screens and squares, retweets and waves across balconies, birthday Zooms and drive-through surprises, finding the pockets of air amidst the drowning. Bayoued our bodies to stave off the next disaster, saw entire neighborhoods flock to the city center and sing our names back into ourselves. A masked up choir, 60,000 wide, chanting for Black lives, demanding our city be given back to us whole. Be it peaceful or a problem, be it someone or a million, we give our all to these potholed streets, tagged trains and slow rolling swangas just to see it all in full swing again. My scaffold jungle, Powerline metropolis, moon-cut silver dollar drifting off the gulf, how I miss you in my arms. How we've grown weary without each other's touch. How we wait, like wading water for all this to pass, prepping ourselves for the aftermath, whether we rip it up from the bottom floor or knock it down from the inside out, we build it back for us, now and always. Thank you.